Hey everyone and welcome to another reading vlog. So it is currently Thursday, but I am starting this vlog a little bit early because I'm going to Thorpe Park over the weekend and I thought it would be quite fun to vlog that. And then next week I'm going to be taking part in RomComAThon, which is a readathon that's hosted by Michelle and Aoife. I will have their details linked in the description just in case you wanted to find out more. But yeah, this is going to be a roller coasters and romance reading vlog and I'm very excited about it, I have to say. I've been feeling really in the mood to read romance recently, and when I saw this readathon I thought, perfect, this is a perfect excuse to actually read some of the romance books that are on my own TBR. So I've kind of put together a TBR of books that I'm hoping to read next week. Whether I actually stick to it is a whole other thing. But these are the 3 books that I would like to try and prioritise. In particular, I think the first book that I'm going to be picking up is You Made a Fool of Death with Your Beauty by Akwaeke Emezi, because I bought this quite recently and it's been looking at me, you know, like I think it's the cover because it's just so pretty, and I mean the spine is also absolutely gorgeous. So I think this is probably going to be the first book that I pick up for the readathon. Then we'll see what else I'm in the mood for. I did put, I think, 6 books on my TBR, but I know that I am not going to read 6 books in a week. So I'm just going to read what I can and try and tick off as many prompts as I can. There is a bingo board, by the way. I'll put it on the screen here so you can see it. One of the prompts though is to read a book that has LGBTQ+ rep or POC rep, and this has both. I think I can also count this as a host's favourite colour because, I mean, the spine is really colourful, but also it's yellow under the dust jacket. So this ticks off quite a few of the prompts. I don't know whether I could also count this as favourite trope as well, because I think this is a forbidden romance. Very excited to pick this up though, because I've only heard amazing things from the reviews that I have seen, and then yeah, I'm just gonna mood read for the rest of the week. I'll obviously keep you updated on what I'm picking up, but I've been feeling a little bit all over the place with my reading recently, so I'm hoping that this reading vlog is gonna get me back on track. I am still taking part in the magical readathon, but honestly I've almost finished all the books that I needed to finish to complete my call-in, and I've started to feel a little bit slumpy recently, but I know from past experience that reading romance is usually the best way to drag myself out of a slump. So I'm hoping that this is going to be a productive reading week, and I'm hoping it's going to be a really good time. As I said, I am going to Thorpe Park this weekend, which I'm really excited about because I haven't been to a theme park in years, since before lockdown, and Thorpe Park is, I think, my favourite theme park in the UK. I really like the rides there and how they're a lot bigger and scarier. They're not as big and as scary as the rides in Florida, but they're pretty good, and yeah, I'm really looking forward to it, especially because we're staying overnight as well in one of the shark cabins, and I've never done that before. So yeah, hopefully we're gonna have nice weather, but I'm hoping it's not as hot as last weekend because that was not fun. And I can remember thinking that if it's that hot this weekend, then it's gonna be a nightmare.
I can feel the love in your heart, I can see it in the way that you smile. I can feel the love in your heart, I can see it in the way that you smile. Feel the love in your heart, that you that you smile. Feel the love in your heart, that you smile. Feel
Good afternoon. It is now Monday and it's the first day of RomComAthon. I am very excited to read some romance this evening. I haven't read anything yet today because obviously it's Monday and I'm working, but I think there's reading sprints happening tonight. So I'm hoping that I can make a start on You Made a Fool of Death with Your Beauty and read a good chunk of this because I'm pretty sure this is under 300 pages, so it shouldn't take me that long to read. I think my plan is to try and finish it by tomorrow, but I do also need to film my September TBR because I'm taking part in RomComAthon. I need to film my roles actually after I've finished filming this clip, and then yeah, pick what books I'm going to be reading in September. I always love this time of the month where it's time to pick a new TBR. I don't know, I feel like it just helps me feel refreshed with my reading. But yeah, Thought Park, I feel like I'm all over the place today because I'm just so tired. Thought Park was amazing. It was a really good weekend, but it was a tiring weekend. I am feeling a little bit sluggish today, I'm not gonna lie, because it's always the way, isn't it, when you go to a theme park? You spend most of the time in really long queues. We did have the fast pass on the Sunday morning, but it was only up until 11 o'clock and the park opened at 10. So we had the fast pass for like an hour. We did get on a few rides actually with the fast pass, especially the queue for Colossus was ridiculous. So I think we managed to save like an hour using that fast pass. So I would say that it was worth staying at the hotel, but not for the fast pass. It was more just for the convenience of being there on site and being able to get in first thing in the morning. Also, it was helpful on the Saturday evening because we went on Tidal Wave, which is this amazing water ride. Like, it's one of my favourite water rides ever, but you do get very, very wet on it. So it was nice to be able to just go straight to the cabin and, you know, have a shower and stuff and not have to drive home soaking wet. I'm trying to think actually how I would rank all of the rides at Thought Park. I think Soar is still my favourite, followed by maybe Tidal Wave, but I really like Stealth as well, which is the big tall one. And then I also really like Swarm. I think Swarm was the first ride that we went on the Saturday, and it was a really good way to just throw us into the deep end because it is pretty scary actually. I'm trying to think what other rides we went on. We went on the new Walking Dead ride, which I thought was just okay. Like, it was creepy at times, and it's this indoor roller coaster, so that was a little bit different. We also went on the Derren Brown Ghost Train, which, to be honest, was a little bit naff. I sound really harsh, but I was really looking forward to it because the concept sounded really interesting. Like, they give you these VR headsets to put on, and they were really loose, so I had to hold mine in place, and it kind of took me out of the experience, which was, yeah, a little disappointing. Otherwise though, yeah, like I said, it was a really good weekend. I feel like I've been rambling for like 10 minutes and all I really needed to say was went to Thought Park, it was a good time. I'm very tired now today, but looking forward to reading some romance this week. I don't know what I'm going to pick up after You Made a Fool of Death with Your Beauty. I am, yeah, just like I said, really all over the place. This has been a bit of a fail of a clip, but I am so sorry. I need to go and get my lunch out of the oven and then get back to work, but I will catch up with you once I've made a start on You Made a Fool of Death with Your Beauty. That is a really long name for a book. So it's now a little bit later and I have made a start on You Made a Fool of Death with Your Beauty. I think I'm around 60 or 70 pages in and I'm enjoying it so far. I'm definitely intrigued because I feel like the blurb for this book, or at least the blurb on the hardback, didn't give much away. I really like the main character Faye, and I especially like the friendship that she has with her best friend Joy. I don't think I actually said what this book is about, but we're basically following this main character Faye, who's recently started to ease herself back into dating again. However, she doesn't feel ready to date anyone seriously, so she's only looking for casual relationships at the moment. I don't want to say too much because obviously this is quite a short book and I don't want to accidentally spoil anything, but Faye works as an artist and she's just been invited to show her work at this show that's taking place on this tropical island, so it's a really good opportunity for her. And that, I think, is all I really want to say about the plot. I'm going to put this hardback down because I've just realised it doesn't even have the dust jacket on so there's no point in me holding it up. I am enjoying it so far. I really like the writing style and the atmosphere. I actually noticed that this has been blurbed by Bolu Babalola, who wrote Love in Colour, and the writing style does feel quite similar actually, so I think if you enjoyed one then you could potentially like the other. I'm going to try and read some more tonight, but I also want to try and get to sleep early because I'm still tired after Thought Park at the weekend, and I also need to work from the office tomorrow because they're doing work on my internet. I basically had an email earlier from my internet provider saying that I'm going to have no internet tomorrow between 9 and 3, which is great considering that I need the internet for work. So I'm going to work from the office tomorrow just to make things easier. And then when I get home, I need to film my September TBR. I've done the rolls, so I just need to film the rest and edit it, hopefully tomorrow as well. I am not going to finish this book tomorrow, am I? That was a stupid idea. I think it's going to take me a few days to read this, but yeah, I am enjoying it so far. So I have just finished filming my RomComAThon TBR, but I wanted to do a quick update on You Made a Fool of Death with Your Beauty. I'm now, I think, around a third of the way through. I'm over 100 pages in now, and I don't think I'm gonna like the direction that this book is going in. It's going in a direction that I wasn't expecting, and even though I like the characters, because I'm thinking of this as a romance, I need to be able to root for the main characters to get together, and I don't think I'm going to do that. I'm still trying to keep an open mind, but yeah, this isn't going in the direction that I was expecting, and I'm not sure how I feel about it. Hello and happy Thursday. I feel like it's been a while since I last updated this vlog, but it's probably only been like 2 days. However, I do have reading updates, so I'm making progress on You Made a Fool of Death with Your Beauty. I think I'm less than 100 pages from the end, so I should be able to finish this today. And I'm still struggling a little bit with it, but it's a difficult one because I think I am enjoying it overall. It's just that this has a very literary fiction writing style, but it's structured and it's been marketed as a romance. However, the romance is probably the only thing about this book that I don't like and that I'm not enjoying. All it says in the summary for this book is that it's a forbidden romance, but it doesn't really explain why it's a forbidden romance, and I'm not going to say why because I don't want to spoil it for anyone who doesn't want to know, but it is quite controversial, I would say, and I think a lot of people would be put off from reading this if they knew what it was actually about, if that makes sense. Like, it's not bothering me. I actually don't mind the direction that this has gone in, but the relationship feels a lot like insta love, and it's such a shame because I do feel like if this were maybe a little bit longer then I would have felt more invested in the relationship. It's just, yeah, that aspect is just not really working for me at the moment, and because I went into this thinking it was a romance, and it is a romance, I think I am just a little bit disappointed because I was expecting to really root for the characters to get together. I mean, I'm still rooting for the characters individually. I really like the main character actually. There's a lot of LGBTQ+ rep in this because the main character's bisexual and so is the love interest. Yeah, it's a difficult one because I don't know if I would recommend this one at the moment. I'm gonna see how it ends because I feel like at at the moment it's sitting around 3 stars, but if I like the ending, then that could bump it up to like a 3.5 or a 4 stars. I am really excited though to read more books by Akwaeke Emezi because I really like their writing style, and I think that I would enjoy their literary fiction books more than I'm enjoying this. So I'm trying to decide which book I want to pick up next, because I think both of these are Grumpy Sunshine, so I could count either of these for favourite trope, but I don't know what I'm more in the mood for. I think this is about a guy who is the heir to some kind of Disney style theme park, and then this is, I think, inspired by Schitt's Creek, which I've never seen before, but it's about a girl who's this, yeah, like spoiled little rich girl, and she has a romance with a fisherman, I think. So I don't know which I want to read. I think I'm leaning more towards It Happened One Summer, because I've never read anything by Tessa Bailey before. Actually, I've never read anything by Lauren Asher before, but I know that Tessa Bailey is very, very popular, and I think this is the shorter of the two, so it's probably the one that I could read quicker. Hey everyone, and happy Friday! How is everyone doing? I am in a really good mood this morning, and I don't really know why. It might be because it's a bank holiday this weekend, and I'm excited to just chill for a few days. We don't have a lot planned because we went away last weekend, but I am seeing friends tomorrow, and hopefully we're going to go for brunch as well. And I love brunch. You know, I feel like if I have brunch at the start of a weekend, it just puts me in a better mood for the rest of the weekend. I'm being a little bit dramatic. I don't know what's wrong with me this morning, but hopefully I will still have time to do some reading over the weekend, because I have ambitious plans. Obviously, it took me a little longer than I was expecting to finish You Made a Fool of Death with Your Beauty, but I did finish this last night. And I liked this. I think I'm going to give it 3.5 stars, but I want to try and explain why, because I liked everything about this book other than the romance. When it came to the relationship in this book, I didn't feel like it was very well developed, and I would have liked to have seen more build-up, because on paper, I could understand that these two characters had this connection because of this shared grief. So I understood it, but I felt like I was having to really stretch my imagination to feel invested, but I didn't feel invested ever really. Like, I didn't care at all whether things worked out between these two characters. And don't get me wrong, there was a lot of drama and the situation was very messy, so it was still interesting to read about, but this didn't give me the feelings that I expect when I'm reading a romance. If this had been literary fiction, and if it had been more about grief and about the main character trying to cope with her grief and how she uses her art to explore grief, I feel like I would have liked this a lot more, even if the relationship had still been there. I think if the relationship hadn't been the focus of the book, then maybe I would have given this 5 stars. I think what it comes down to is that I find it really frustrating when two characters barely know each other, and yet they're making big declarations of love, and I'm just sat there rolling my eyes a little bit because I just don't find that realistic. It was almost like I was being told these two characters are attracted to each other, they have this connection, now let's roll with it. And it was quite jarring to read. Like, there were some really beautiful moments in this book, but they just didn't really hit me like I wanted them to, and so it was just quite frustrating overall. Like I was trying to say earlier though, if this had been literary fiction, then I don't think it would have mattered so much that I didn't feel that invested in the relationship, because that's not why I pick up literary fiction. So yeah, like I said, I think I am going to give it 3.5 stars. I might round up on Goodreads because I do think that this was at least memorable, and I don't regret reading it. Like, I would still recommend it if you've been interested in this, but I feel like the summary doesn't really summarise what this book is actually about, because when I was looking at the inside cover, it basically talks about this main character, Faye, having this opportunity to go to this island for this dream holiday where she falls for someone who she absolutely can't have. And that's just such a simplified summary of what this book is actually about. So, first book of the readathon has been finished, and I have also started my next book. I decided to go for It Happened One Summer by Tessa Bailey, mostly because I felt like this would be a slightly quicker read, and I have been really excited to read this because I've heard mixed things. I feel like people either love Tessa Bailey's writing or they hate it, and I'm interested to see what side I fall on. This follows our main character Piper, who's this party girl living in LA, and she's always had this reputation for being a bit of a wild child. However, one evening she takes things too far and she ends up being arrested. So her stepdad turns around to her and says he's had enough, and he's cutting her off and sending her to this small town where her dad was from. Basically, he wants her to learn how to be responsible. So she's sent off to this small town in Washington state, which is basically a fishing town. So she runs into this guy, Brendan, who is a fisherman. It's kind of an opposites attract situation because Brendan has lived in this small town for his entire life, and he's very set in his ways. So even though they are basically opposites of each other, there's still that attraction there. There's a lot of banter between the two main characters, and it's been quite funny in places. So yeah, really excited to carry on reading this. I'm already over 100 pages in, so hopefully I could try and finish this actually tonight or tomorrow morning, and then maybe pick up another book for the rest of the weekend, but we'll see, because realistically I don't actually know how much I'm gonna be able to read this weekend. So I am now around 200 pages into It Happened One Summer, and I'm still enjoying this. I'm finding it very fun and fast-paced, and it's very smutty. However, I don't know if I like the smut scenes. I don't think they're badly written. I think it's more a personal taste kind of thing, because I really don't like the word baby when it's used as a term of endearment, and it's been used quite a lot in this book, like in a sexual way, and it just makes me cringe. This is quite a straightforward romance, and there's not as many layers to the characters as I would have liked, but I do still feel like they're well written, and I feel like this book is doing what it's set out to do. If I was to make a prediction as to what I'm going to rate this, I would say it's sitting around a 4 stars at the moment. But when I compare it to the last book I read, obviously I gave that 3.5 stars, and I feel like I liked that more objectively than this, but this is different, so I don't feel like I can really compare them. I don't know. I think this is just fine at the moment, and because I'm reading it so quickly, I think I could finish this tonight. I could probably read this in one sitting, actually, and I do like romance books like that, where I feel so absorbed in the story that I don't even realise how much time has passed when I'm reading it. So that's a positive. It's just that I'm in a weird mood at the moment and I don't know what I want to read. I do want to read romance. I feel like this is what I want to read right now. It's just, for some reason, I'm being overly critical. One thing that I do like about this book, actually, that I don't think I've mentioned yet, is the setting. So something that I've realised quite recently, actually, is that I really love small town romances, and I especially love books where you've got a character who doesn't quite fit into this small town, and they're having to navigate that. I really like it in movies, and apparently I really like it in books as well. So that's another positive, and I do feel like there's more positives to this book than negatives at the moment, but obviously I've still got half of it to go, so we'll see how I'm feeling at the end of it. So I finished reading It Happened One Summer this morning, and I think I'm gonna give this 3 stars. I don't think I like the way that Tessa Bailey writes sex scenes, and I don't think I like the way that she writes dirty talk. I just found it really cringe in this book. I could have made a drinking game out of how many times the main characters called each other baby or honey, and it wasn't for me. I think I'm still going to try the next book in this series, which follows Piper's sister Hannah, because I did really like the characters in this, and I did really like the plot and how it takes place in this small town. I just didn't like the writing, and there were some descriptions of things that just took me out of the story because I just didn't like it. The one example I can think of is every time Piper wants a hug from Brendan, she says that she wants to go into the recharging station, and it was making me laugh. And I don't think it was meant to make me laugh. I didn't mind the relationship, but I did think that they moved quite quickly, and I thought that their attraction, to me, it felt like it was based on physical attraction and lust rather than love and an emotional connection. So yeah, I think, to summarise, I'm going to give this 3 stars because I think the writing just wasn't really for me. Would still recommend it though if you're looking for like a summer holiday read, because I did read this quite quickly and I did find that I was absorbed in the story right up until, I guess, the 60% mark, where I started to get a little bit bored and I was finding that the pace was dragging a little bit, but it wasn't terrible. Like, 3 stars is quite an average rating. I just didn't love this one as much as I was wanting to. There's one more book that I would like to try and finish for this readathon. I was looking at the bingo board actually, and I don't think I'm going to get round to the group book, which is another Tessa Bailey book, but I think otherwise there's only one more prompt that I need to complete, and that is to read a backlist book. So I was going to read one of Talia Hibbert's backlist books, but I think I'd rather read a book that I already own. So I was looking through my Kindle and I remembered that I actually have quite a few of Taylor Jenkins Reid's contemporary romances that I bought ages ago that I've been meaning to get round to. So I made a start on Maybe in Another Life, which follows this woman called Hannah who's just moved back to California from New York. She's moved around quite a lot, I think, in her life, but she, was living in New York for I think around 9 months. Something went wrong, so she's moved to live with a friend in LA, I think. It's definitely California, I can't remember whereabouts in California. But she goes to this party, I think literally the day after she arrives, where she gets chatting to this guy that she dated in high school, and she's left with this decision on whether to stay at this party and carry on chatting to him or get a lift home with her friend. And then the book kind of splits the timeline, and it's this sliding doors situation where you're following this main character in these 2 different futures based on the choice that she makes. Hope that makes sense, but yeah, I'm only like 50 pages into it and I'm liking it so far. Don't have any strong feelings on it, but I'm hoping that I can finish this by tomorrow and count it towards the readathon. I'm really glad actually that I'm getting round to reading more of Taylor Jenkins Reid's books, because I've read, I think, 4 of her books so far. I've read her 3 newest releases, other than Carrie Soto is Back. I've got that on my September TBR, but I've been meaning to read her contemporary romances because I've had them on my Kindle for such a long time. It's going to be interesting to see what I think of this, because I read One True Loves by Taylor Jenkins Reid, I think it was over a year ago now actually, and I didn't like it as much as her newer books. So it's going to be interesting to see whether that was just a one-off or whether I just don't like the contemporaries that she's written. But yeah, excited to read some more of this. Hopefully this afternoon. I am going out to a barbecue this evening, but I think I've got like an hour before I have to start getting ready. So gonna sit down and just read, and hopefully, yeah, this isn't going to be a disappointment, because I feel like I've had a few disappointments recently. I feel like there's potential there. The concept sounds really interesting, so I am excited to see what I think of it. Good morning. So it is now Monday. The readathon officially ended last night, and I am happy to say that I finished Maybe in Another Life by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I didn't film any updates as I was reading this yesterday because I just didn't really have that much to say about it. Like, it was a quick read, it was easy to read, but I don't think I'm going to really remember this one. I understood the message that it was trying to get across, but I just didn't care that much about the characters. So it was one of those where I was reading it and I was enjoying my time reading it, but it's not going to really stick with me. At the time that I filmed my last update, I think I'd got to the part where Hannah was trying to make this decision as to what to do, and it went in a direction that I wasn't expecting, and I'm not sure if I love the direction that it went in. There were a few moments throughout this book where I kind of questioned the characters' morals, and I actually found myself wondering, do I actually even like these characters? But it was just so easy to read that I carried on and carried on until I finished it. Like, there was never a point where I thought about DNFing this, and I am glad that I finally read it because I have been curious about Taylor Jenkins Reid's older books, but I think this has confirmed that maybe her contemporary romances just aren't 100% for me. Content warning for miscarriage, by the way, if you are thinking of reading this. Don't know if I said actually what I'm going to rate this, but I think I'm going with like a 3.5 stars because it wasn't bad and I wouldn't want to put anyone else off from reading it. It just wasn't 100% for me. But that does bring me to the end of this vlog, so thanks for watching. If you made it this far, let me know in the comments if you were taking part in RomComAthon and what you read. I'll put a picture actually on the screen of my completed bingo board. I mean, it's not a completed bingo board because I didn't finish, well, I didn't even start the group read, but I did all of the other prompts, including the non-reading prompts. So yeah, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you liked it and click subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you next time. Bye.